I worked up my ad agency to $15,000 a month, which was 4 or 5 times my teaching salary. At the point I thought, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. COVID hit, lost every single client, went to zero. During this time, I did not pivot and rise. I crumbled. I got fat, got depressed, came down on myself, had a negative identity. And these other guys said, I'm not going to let this failure define me. And they created extremely strong, resilient, successful businesses during this time. I saw some people crushing it. Wouldn't I be motivated and inspired by them? No. The more successful they were, the more failure I saw in myself, because I realized what I could be doing that I wasn't. And it was shining a mirror on myself, and I was saying, man, they are so successful. Why are you not them? It made me just want to forget about it. Luckily, I pivoted. Luckily, I grew up. Luckily, I changed. I matured in many different ways, radically changed my discipline, became a completely different person over these last years. Hi everyone, I'm Chris Rodack. This may or may not be a podcast, but we'll see. I'm going to talk about one of the things that I have been posting about. I posted about it today. I've been talking about it. Hey, look, I'm live. I've been talking about it in some of my content, and that is ego, that is identity, that is things that hold guys back. And a lot of this that holds guys back is their own thoughts. It's their own story they tell themselves. It's comparison. It's pride. It's selfishness. It is constantly comparing yourself to other people. And when we do that, we hold ourselves back. So I took a video of myself in a cold plunge today, and I was talking about the mirror effect. And if you're a man, this is really hard. We play the comparison game. You play this game where you say, I'm in this position, this other guy is in my position, he has the same job, he's the same age, we grew up together, but he's outperforming me. You can take that two ways. You can say, man, that guy's amazing. He is awesome. That means I can do that too. Or you can say, well, he cheated his way to the top. He screwed somebody over. He doesn't deserve it. My life, my situation is so bad, blank reason, which is why I can't achieve that. And then you make excuses for why you are where you are. Or you join a team, you join a club, you join a group, whatever it is, and you decide to only half-ass your way through the program, through the group, through whatever it is, and then you say, well, this isn't working for me. Like, I've joined plenty of men's programs and groups and masterminds. I've paid $10K to join some programs so I can be around savage badasses. I always make my money back. But there are always guys who don't do anything. They'll pay the same amount, they'll join the group, and then they will do nothing. I don't understand it. I don't know how you could ever pay that much money and never do anything. But there's, in every single program, every group, there's guys who do that. They pay, they join, and then they don't do a single thing. Sometimes those guys will say, well, this isn't working for me. This is not right for me. Or the guy, and then they'll see another guy who succeeded, and he'll be a complete rock star, and they'll say, well, circumstances are different for him. Let me give you a specific example. Whenever I used to think like this, I will throw myself under the bus first. I will throw myself under the bus and tell you where I've been guilty of this. 5-6 years ago, joined a business mastermind group before I had any discipline whatsoever. Okay, and I joined this group. I wanted to make money. I wanted to learn how to build a business, which I did. I 10 times my investment after the first 4 months, but there were also guys in the group who 1,000 times their investment. There's guys who started around when I started, but after a couple years were making $500,000 a month, and then 5 years later they're making $2-3 million a month, and now they're head of these industries across the world. And they started the same time I did. So for me, that during that time, my ego really wanted to say, well, they lucked out. Well, they caught this blank industry at the right time. Well, blah, blah, blah. Well, this happened to me, which is why I am here. And I did that. I had all these excuses and reasons for why they were successful and why I wasn't. Now, why would someone do that? Why would I ever do that? Well, because I wanted to make myself feel better. It's the only reason. The only reason anyone ever does that is because they want to make themselves feel better. I had to pad my ego. I had to build my identity up and say, no, Chris, it's okay. You're just as good as this guy. You were just screwed. That's it. Because it's easier for me to sleep at night if I tell myself that. It's a lot easier for me to go to bed at night if I tell myself that the reason why I am not successful is because the universe conspired against me, because it was out of my control. Actually, Chris, you have no control over your situation, and these external circumstances just happen to you. Whenever you find yourself underperforming and you don't have the balls and courage to face reality, those kind of stories come to your head. Say, this isn't right for me. This, the messaging here isn't in line with my thinking. Actually, I think I could do better over here. Maybe I'll go it alone. And we start to rationalize and give ourselves all these stories to make ourselves feel better. Because it was so painful for me. I was thinking, why couldn't I do that? But I knew the truth. The truth is I kept on giving up. The reason why I couldn't do that, and that guy did, was whenever things got hard and difficult, when he was faced with resistance and obstacles, he didn't give up and I did. But that is a painful reality that I am now able to soak in, and I am now able to feel that pain and say, hey, maybe that's an area where you need to improve, which I have improved that, which is why I can talk about it. But I remember this specific person, and in this group, many millionaires were created. And I was just a lowly band teacher, and I was joining this group of future millionaires and people who were just crushing life. I was like, hey, I want to be like them. I don't want to teach band forever. So I joined this group, learned some skills, and even though I failed massively at the different things I tried, I was also very successful. For my career, for my age, I was 29, 30 years old. I was making a lot of money for being a middle school band teacher where I lived. And had I not invested in myself, that never would have happened. When I first invested in myself, and I've told the story over and over again in my stories yesterday. I made a long line of stories about the importance of investing in yourself. My wife got laid off from her job. She was working at an inner city public school, a hellish place where parents were waiting for her by her car, and kids were or parents and teachers were getting attacked. That's where she was working. She got laid off from her job. And I had $1,500 a month in student loan debt for being a teacher, because I initially went to college to be a psychologist. I'm really into psychology and how the brain works and what makes people think, and I still am, which is why I work that into my program and the things I talk about so much. I'm very interested in psychology and what holds people back, what makes them tick. So I was going to be a psychologist, and I was accepted to universities with scholarships for college. And at the very last minute, the last month before graduation, I said, no, I love music. I want to be a music teacher. So I said, screw all this, threw all my scholarships away, applied to music colleges, past the point where I could get any scholarships and I missed the scholarship deadline. And then I got accepted, 0 scholarship because I missed all of them, and took on tons of debt to be a middle school music teacher. Bad financial move, but I believed at the time it was the right thing for me to do for my life. It was my dream job. I wanted to make music, and I wanted to teach kids how to make music. So I got my dream job as a music teacher. Eventually, it turned out that wasn't the case. So throughout this time, I realized, hey, maybe there's more for me. Maybe, the dream I had as a child isn't the dream I have to carry with me the rest of my life. When I was a senior in high school, I really wanted to be a music teacher. Now that I'm 25, and that's 8 years in the past, maybe my dreams are allowed to evolve. Maybe I'm allowed to have different goals and dreams and a different vision for myself. So that's whenever I started to research online business, being an entrepreneur, doing these kind of things. And I knew nothing. Not a single person in my sphere growing up owned a business. I had one rich uncle who we saw once a year. He owned multiple businesses, but we weren't connected with him at all. So no one could teach me anything about this. And also, during this time, YouTube wasn't very popular. There wasn't you couldn't turn on YouTube and learn how to build an online business in a day like you can now. So I screwed up a lot. But my wife got laid off from her job. I was crushed with student loan debt. She had student loan debt. We just started a family. We had young kids. We were probably paying $1,300 a month in child care, plus all the groceries, plus mortgage payments, plus bills. And then I saw a Facebook ad for a business coach, who I've since rehired for many other things. And I got on a call. It was $4,000. Didn't know this guy at all. I had my credit cards were maxed out. And I said, yes. And then immediately I paid. I had to call my credit card company to up my limit. They did that for me, thank goodness. I paid, and I felt so good afterwards. I remember sitting on my back patio with my wife saying, I feel really good. I've spent $20 on Amazon and felt guilty and dirty afterwards, just because I knew in my heart that I didn't need it, that it was a wasteful emotional impulse buy. But after I spent $4,000 on a credit card to invest in myself, I felt really good about myself. So I did that over the next couple months, learned how to create an ad agency, and 4 months later made $40,000 by learning these new skills. Had I been stuck, had I let the fear, the logic, the reasoning, had I thought about it for months, for years, I would still be in that job. I'd still be stuck. I'd still be making almost no money. We'd still be in debt. We have the only debt we have now is our mortgage. We have no student loan, no auto payment. We have nothing. No credit card debt. The only debt we have now is our mortgage. Dave Ramsey would call that financially free. Eventually, I don't even know. I have no ambition to pay off my mortgage right now because we're going to move to some other place pretty soon. But had I not spent money, invested in myself, I would have stayed stuck forever. And I hear guy after guy tell me, other coaches, not even like to join my program or anything like that. I will talk to guys who say, I am so stuck. I want to improve my life. I know I have to do this to improve my life, but I have to spend $1,000 on this course, or I have to get this degree, or I need to hire a coach, and I'm not willing to spend that money to do it. So it's okay then. So you've decided that you want to stay stuck forever. So just accept that and quit bitching about it. Accept that you would rather have $1,000 in the bank than $100,000 a year from now. And in your small brain, that makes sense to you. It gets me annoyed. It gets me frustrated because I think back to me whenever I was in that situation, and had I thought about that, I'd still be stuck. I'd have a completely different life. It would be horrible. If I said, my credit cards are maxed out. My wife just got laid off. This is too risky. This is too scary. The rational thing to do is to save my money. Try to save my way to riches. Keep doing what's not working and hope it changes with a strike of lightning. Which many guys convince themselves is the right way to do it. They refuse to spend any money on anything. They want to hoard their money in the bank like Scrooge. And then they remain fat, stuck, undisciplined, because the thought of losing any money is scarier than the future that they are creating for themselves and their family. For me, the opposite was true. The money is meaningless compared to the life I could have. I knew that the life I could have was worth anything. I would have paid $50,000 if I had that on my credit card to get what I could have, to get where I am now. Had I known, had I remained stuck there, completely different life. It's like a choose your own ending novel. You're reading a novel. On page 2, you have to make a decision that will affect where you end up on page 400. On page 400, you could end up here, the top of the mountain, or you can end up in a hellish cave somewhere if you made the wrong decision back on page 2. That's like me. Had I not invested in myself, I'd be in that hellish mountain. And James Clear talks about little decisions adding up every single day. Two planes start in the exact same spot, and they alter their direction by 0.001 degrees. A day later, they end up on opposite sides of the world. It's got beautiful illustrations of that. So it frustrates me and annoys me when guys are asking how they can change their life, and the thing that's stopping them is financial. Because I was in that extremely hard financial spot, and I did it anyway and changed my life. And even if it didn't work out, I'd still be proud that I took a bet on myself, that I wasn't stuck forever, that I didn't allow my future life to be decided by fear. And this isn't for everybody. You can tell that I am okay with risk and fear. I am okay investing in myself and having it not worked out. I recently made a large investment that didn't work out. Does that mean I am not going to invest in myself again? No. I'm going to continue to invest in myself. I also made a recent investment, large investment, that really worked out and immediately doubled my investment. And this is in education and self-development. I make sure that when I invest in something, I get my money back and I go all in. I'm not someone who tiptoes. When people ask me, they say, hey, can I do a month trial? Is this free? Is this cheap? That's because they are so used to doing nothing. They're so used to dipping their toes in. They're so used to playing life safe. They want to see if it's comfortable. And if what they're about to try isn't comfortable for them, they're going to quit like they have everything else in their life. So as soon as someone says, is this free? I say, not for you. I don't want those kind of guys in my group. Guys in my group are savages. They go after it. They level each other up. So, went on a little rant as I do. But what I started out talking about was the mirror. It was the mirror that causes us to hide in our shell. And I was talking about the business group. So, I was making good money for me, but then COVID hit. I've told this story many times. I worked up my ad agency to $15,000 a month, which was 4 or 5 times my teaching salary at the point I thought, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. COVID hit, lost every single client, went to zero. During this time, I did not pivot and rise. I crumbled. I was not the lighthouse at that point. I got fat, got depressed, came down on myself, had a negative identity. And other people, these other guys, said, I'm not going to let this failure define me. And they created extremely strong, resilient, successful businesses during this time. And they're crushing it right now. So I saw them doing that. I saw them being really successful. And I would just stop going into the group. So why did I do that? Why did I stop going into the group? This group had 1,000 people in it. I saw some people crushing it. Wouldn't I be motivated and inspired by them? No. I only saw my failures bigger. The more successful they were, the more failure I saw in myself. Because I realized what I could be doing that I wasn't. If they made 2 sales in one day, those were 2 sales I wasn't making. If they made $100,000 this month, that was $100,000 I could have made that I didn't. So that's how I was looking. That was the unhealthy, toxic way I was looking at their success. And it was shining a mirror on myself. And I was saying, man, they are so successful. Why are you not them? And it made me resent. It made me just want to forget about it. So there was 9, 12 months I just didn't even go into the group. Luckily, I pivoted. Luckily, I grew up. Luckily, I changed, and I matured emotionally, many different ways, radically changed my discipline, became a completely different person over these last years. Now, when I see someone else doing amazing, I think, that's fucking awesome. That's amazing. I'll see someone with a reel that has 500,000 likes on it, hit 100 million people. They've gained 50,000 followers. I think, oh my God, that is so amazing. Not, that could have been me. The old Chris would have thought that. So I challenge you to think like that. Whenever you're doing the comparison game and you see other people doing well, force yourself to think, That is so amazing. Not, oh, that could have been me. Or, that guy cheated his way. That guy did something wrong. That guy blah, blah, blah. And then I do not create a story to pat yourself on the back. To lie to yourself and say, it's okay that you are underperforming right now. It's okay that you're underperforming right now because they cheated their way. Don't do that to yourself. Just checking. I am live on LinkedIn as well. Hey, if you don't follow me on LinkedIn, go on LinkedIn. I got 20,000 connections on there. So LinkedIn's a good place. Shout out to you guys who are on LinkedIn. Is it streaming on YouTube? Probably not. But anyway, the mirror. This can happen in business. It can happen with colleagues, but it can also happen with your family. I hear this all the time. It's a husband who decides one day to get his shit together. And then the wife, who he's been living with and sharing habits with for a decade, all of a sudden sees this husband rising and getting their shit together and takes it personally and gets offended and starts to try to sabotage them. It also happens in the exact opposite. I know husbands who their wives decide to get their shit together, get ripped, get in shape, get disciplined, and then the husbands try to sabotage them because they see that mirror. They say, that could be me. Why is that on me? Instead of encouraging them, pumping them up, and wanting them to become the absolute best they can. But what a superpower, husbands, we could have if you yourself built yourself into the absolute best man you could be, and you sought the best in your wife. And you said, babe, I want you to be all you can be. I want you to be a savage. I want you to be happy, fulfilled, disciplined. I don't want you to have vices. I don't want you to have to smoke weed all day. I don't want you to have to eat food and drink alcohol. I don't want you to have to sleep all day. I want you to live an on-fire life like I am right now. And just imagine if she went all in, did that, and both of you were attacking life, disciplined, and then your kids saw that, and your kids wanted to be like mom and dad. What kind of family, what kind of life could you have? It would be unbelievable. And this fantasy I just described is reality. Can actually happen. It's what I turned my family into. It's what my wife turned my family into. My wife goes to CrossFit 5:15 every single morning. Just started the podcast. She's going to record another one tonight. My kids go to jiu-jitsu, CrossFit, work out with me every single day. It's an amazing place to be. But it starts with you, Dad. It starts with you being the leader of your family and building yourself. If you're undisciplined, if you're sloppy, if you have bad health habits, if you are overweight and you've been overweight for a decade and you're doing nothing about it, you are not leading your family. You're giving no inspiration to anyone to change. You know you have to change. You can look at it, you can guilt yourself into it, or you can inspire yourself into change. Either way works. I don't care. Just change. The guilt way is saying, well, if I don't change, I am going to create obese children full of baggage who are going to be depressed the rest of their life, which is true. So that's also true. So if that motivates you to change, then take that motivation. Or you could say, I need to be a ripped, inspirational savage. I want my son to think I'm a superhero. I want my daughter to love me with all her heart and say, man, I want my husband to be like my dad. And I want my wife to be obsessed with me and be passionately in love with me. You can inspire yourself. If that motivates you to change, then change with that motivation. I don't care. Take motivation wherever you can get it. But both things are true. You will ruin your family, or you could save them by your actions. Let's keep going back to the mirror, because that's what this is about. So the husband rises and the wife doesn't. The wife sees herself, sees what she could be doing, and says, why am I not doing that? There'll be some resentment. There'll be some conflict. There'll be some passive aggressiveness. There'll be some comments made. There'll be some, hey, I ordered pizza. Why are you eating chicken and broccoli when I order pizza? Don't you love me? Hey, why are you going to bed at 9:30 when we used to go to bed at 11 and watch Netflix for 3 hours? You don't love me. We're not spending time together. There will be some of those comments made at first. So husbands, wives, if your spouse is doing that and you are trying to improve yourself, just expect it. They're suffering. They're hurting. It's okay. It doesn't mean you have to get divorced. Just you don't have an emotional reaction about it. If the other person is doing that, just accept it, smile, be the lighthouse, shine light on them, be warm and loving anyway. And then guess what? Once you transform yourself into a strong, warm lighthouse of a spouse, you will magnetize the people in your world to you, and they want to be in your light. They will want to be around you. Then they will want to follow you. Then they will want to do what you are doing. It won't happen by you yelling at them, screaming at them, getting in fights, getting confrontation, being passive-aggressive to them, snaking your way around the point. Be truthful, be authentic, be you, inspire people. It also can happen with your friends. Many a business owner, entrepreneur, successful person will tell you the more successful they get, the less of their old friends they keep. And it's not necessarily because they cast them out. It's because a lot of times the friends that you grew up with, who thought you would be in their world forever, get resentful. Once again, you reflect your mirror, you angle your mirror towards them, and you say, look what I've become. This is what they think. They think, look what that guy has become. Why is that not me? Why can't I do that? That's painful to think about. In that pain can either inspire you to change, or that pain will either inspire you to create a lie. Both create a warm, fuzzy feeling. The lie creates a warm, fuzzy feeling right now. The second one creates a warm, fuzzy feeling for the rest of your life. If that pain of saying, this guy was fat 2 years ago, I was fat 2 years ago. This guy was broke 2 years ago. I was broke 2 years ago. But now, this guy is in the best shape of his life. He looks amazing. His family is so happy. They're all over him. And he's financially free. But I am not. I'm still fat. I'm still broke. And my family's miserable. That guy who feels like that, he can take that pain and he can use it to severely transform his life right now. He can say, I'm going to rise today. I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to become disciplined. I'm going to start journaling. I'm going to start listening to Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, the Rising Father podcast, and all these amazing people that can help me improve my life. I am going to fill my head with those voices, and I'm going to become a disciplined savage. Just wait and see what I look like 12 months from now. He can take that approach. Or he can say, this guy's dead. This guy's rich uncle probably gave him some money. My kids, I got toddlers. I have ADHD. I can't focus. I get really hungry. I'm just so hungry all the time. I'm not a morning person. This guy's a morning person. He always jumps out of bed in the morning. My car just broke down. This guy lives in California. It's sunny all the time. Of course he's happy. Of course he's motivated. I'm in Boston. It's dark and people are miserable here. You can take that and create stories that make you feel good. Your little raft that gets you through the storm of your lies. Little raft of lies that can make you float above the water. Or you can plunge yourself into the depths and say, I need to forge myself. Take yourself down to the forge and hammer yourself into steel. That's what I say you should do. It's a painful process, but it makes you harder. What will make you a harder, stronger man? Is it by ignoring the truth of the world, or is it by staring the truth in the face and fixing yourself? It's that one. I gave you the answer. It's that one. And I'm just speaking from my life experience. And now that I've had the Men of Fire program for a year, I'm speaking from experience of watching men change their lives, of all income types. We have guys in our group that are worth millions and millions of dollars. We have guys in our group who are not. But what holds them all together? They want to improve their life. They want to massively transform themselves. They want to be the best man they can be while they're here. Don't you want to be the best person you can be while you're on earth? Do you want to be 80 years old, have a couple more years left, and say, oh, I should have gave it my all. I should have tried harder. If that is not you right now, you can go all in right now. You can make a massive change right now. You can still get in the best shape of your life. You can still save your marriage. You can still have an amazing connection with your kids. Your kids are impatient. You think they're assholes. You don't have a good connection with them. All of that can be changed because I've seen it. How do I know? I've changed, and I've watched it happen, and man after man in my program. So I have concrete evidence. It's no longer just unshakable inner belief that I started this thing with. I had a very strong belief in myself, but now it's backed up with testimonial, proof. Guys will tell me to my face. If you go all in, if you have mentorship, a brotherhood, follow a plan, have systems, have all these things that have changed my life and other men's lives, you can 1,000% do it. So it's never too late for you. It's never too late for you. So let's recap, let's summarize, let's take a lesson from all this. Many lessons in this, but let's all circle it back to the mirror, because this will be a podcast episode, because it was good enough. And I never know. I'll try to do many lives, and I never know whether they're going to be good enough for a podcast. This one is. So, if you are somebody who finds yourself negatively comparing yourself to other people, they make you feel bad, they make you feel like a failure, they make you question your worth, your identity, and your ego, take that as your sign of exactly where you need to improve. If someone's finances, if someone says, I made $500,000 this month, and that just cuts your soul, you feel pain inside, that means you need to improve your finances. If you see someone who's ripped on Instagram and that makes you feel like shit, that means you need to improve your fitness. If you see someone who has a great relationship with their kids and that makes you question yourself at night, that means you need to improve the relationship with your kids. Same thing with your wife. Take these feelings and judgments that you have and don't run from them, don't medicate them, don't drown them in alcohol, food, porn, scrolling, gossip, whatever it is for you. Dig in and decide to change your life. We'll end there. Thanks, guys. This was great. Alrighty, we'll see ya.